Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to talk about a style of crime that is kind of out of vogue in current year in 2024. And the reason that the mainstream media is not interested in talking about it anymore is because they can't blame the evil orange man for the crimes that we're seeing on the streets. And of course, I'm talking about crimes against elderly Asians. If you'll remember way back when in 2020, the mainstream media decided that accurately saying that the COVID-19 virus originated in China was an evil white racist dog signal that allegedly caused all of these evil white racists to start attacking elderly Asians, despite the fact that video after video and every crime statistic ever showed us that it was actually black Americans attacking those Asians. Well, guess what? Those crimes are still happening. We got some suspects on the loose, and that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money, okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform.
Back here in Western Washington, detectives want to speak to these two people of interest in connection to a carjacking of an 80-year-old woman.
So the story that we're talking about today takes place in Seattle. We got a woman in her 80s who was attacked and carjacked, according to Jessica Burbank. Of course, these carjackers only did so because cars were expensive and they wanted to get groceries.
Why are we seeing an increase in carjackings? I mean, we saw an increase in the price of used cars and trucks go up by 40%. That's a very high number. I think people are really struggling to afford cars.
Now, they didn't appear to be interested in stealing the elderly woman's groceries. By the way, she was unloading groceries at the time. They appeared to steal her car for a joyride. But trust us, Jessica Burbank has made it clear that these thieves just couldn't afford cars, so they had to brutally attack this elderly Asian woman in order to go shopping for their own groceries. And the fact that they saw her groceries is just what made them so upset, because they can't get to the grocery store.
And people are really struggling. They need cars to go get groceries, go to work, what have you.
That clip is never going to get old on this channel. I will be playing it over and over again until the end of days, until the end of time, because I want everybody to understand how ridiculous Jessica Burbank is.
Fox 13's Dave Detlin.
So first of all, I just want to point out that this guy's name is Dave Detlin. Now, we've talked about alliterated names, how they can be heroes or villains, and this guy obviously has very powerful hair, so I'm hoping that Dave Detlin actually becomes the hero that we need and tracks down these people on his own and brings them to justice.
No one wants these guys caught more than Delia herself. She says someone's got to recognize their photos. Meantime, she says when this all went down, she was parked in the parking stall number 2, emptying groceries from her RAV4. She feels that whoever was responsible for this attack was watching her from a nearby car, just waiting for the right time to strike.
I feel so bad because we have to be kind, loving, and caring with each other. Why do they have to behave like that?
So one of the things that you'll notice is the fact that this 80-plus-year-old woman has a bruise on her face, on her cheek. And the reason she has this bruise is that during this carjacking, which, by the way, was an armed carjacking, they had a gun on them, one of the suspects decided, just for fun, to punch this woman in the face. As they stole her car, while she was unloading groceries, a woman in the 80s, they decided to add the extra injury to the insult and punch her in the face for no reason.
That question is aimed at these two individuals seen here in this recently released photo. The car they're riding around in is stolen, says Seattle police detectives.
Well, those do look like evil white racist Trump supporters, and I do appreciate the Seattle police telling us that the car is stolen that they're riding in. They appear to have ridden in a stolen car in order to get groceries, according to Jessica Burbank, and then decided to steal another car because I guess they needed more groceries. That's why they drove there in a stolen car to get another stolen car, potentially to get groceries. And yeah, it seems like I would suspect that this might be a pattern of behavior. They might be joyriding. They might be intentionally stealing cars over and over again. This might not have anything to do with the price of cars or groceries, but you know, maybe somebody on the left would just disagree with me. They would just say, oh my God, these poor innocent angels, how could they not punch this woman for no reason when they were already armed carjacking her, when she was already complying with the armed carjacking? They needed to feed their families.
I pray to God that they will get caught because I don't want other people to happen what happened to me.
So what you're seeing right here is a sane person with moral clarity, somebody who's been productive in their life, worked as a healthcare worker, worked as an education worker, coming forward on television, identifying the perpetrators, calling out what happened to her, despite the fact that these criminals are going to get soft on crime treatment from the city of Seattle, and despite the fact that these criminals know where she lives. She was unloading groceries in front of her own residence. They know what her car looks like, they know what she looks like, and they've already shown that they're not going to hesitate to use unnecessary violence against her. But despite all of that, she comes forward, she steps up, she delivers for her community because she doesn't want to see this happen again. But unfortunately, her city is committed to ensuring that this happens over and over again. And as we covered in a previous video, people in the legislature think that these guys, innocent angel victims,
this option is intended to be for folks who are struggling and cycling through the system,
that are trapped in a cycle of criminality that is beyond their fault.
What happened to Delia Matabilas earlier this month is something she can't forget.
Why do they have to behave like that? And I did not hesitate to give my car key. Why did the guy punch me? And I did not say a word.
Delia still has some black and blue marks under her left eye from where she was hit. She also remembers how one of the suspects pulled out a gun before taking off in her car.
And when I faced him, he put the gun right away, here.
So right there, she says that she did not hesitate to give them the car. She did not hesitate to surrender it to them. Now, it's kind of out of order, the sequence of events, but she says as soon as she faced this person, he stuck a gun in her stomach. He stuck it right there, as she's describing, on her body, and yet they still punched her in the face. They still assaulted her because they don't give a damn about her. This is an 80-plus-year-old woman. His punch to the face could have knocked her to the ground, hit her head. She could have been killed in this particular instance, but these violent criminals only care about their own personal satisfaction. They only care about getting what they want, that instant gratification, and not about the harm that they do to anybody else. And you can see the bruise on her face. It's more detailed than that zoomed out shot, and this has been what has been on her face for a month plus, due to the fact that these criminals had no regard for her humanity. They didn't see her as a person. They saw her as somebody to brutalize, somebody who is weak, in order to get at what they wanted, which of course was just transportation to the grocery store.
Be careful and then watch your back.
Delia's son Melvin had that warning for the people responsible for hurting his mom.
Now look, I appreciate them interviewing the son and, him issuing a warning to the criminals, but what I don't appreciate is whoever in the local news decided to tell him to stand in the back of his mother's vehicle and reenact the punch in the face to his mother that he didn't even witness. Why is this in the segment? It's so goofy. It's one of those things that you notice with local news, is that they'll just add in like little sprinkles of goofy elements, and this is one of them. Like, why are you making this poor guy do that? What is wrong with you? Why would you say, hey, can you recreate, just for B-roll, your mother getting punched in the face and do it right on the back of your vehicle, the one that was stolen and has since been returned? We'd really appreciate that. We're going to pipe that in. It's going to undercut the seriousness of this story, but just do it for us, and it's going to be totally fine.
He also wants her to make a full recovery so that she can once again be her vibrant self.
Right now, I'm so terrified about what happened. It's very traumatic for me.
It just shows that they were cowards because she wasn't trying to resist. They could have gotten the key without hurting her.
Now, the son right there says that they're cowards. They didn't need to brutalize her. They didn't need to physically victimize her in that way. And there is some truth to that. I mean, these guys snuck up on an 80-plus-year-old woman, pulled a gun on her, stuck it in her stomach. She wasn't resisting at all, and they brutalized her anyway. They came with overwhelming force, and they still had to add additional force on top of that. But that's not just because they're cowardly. The reason they snuck up on her, the reason they targeted an old woman, the reason they brought the gun in order to sneak up and target an old woman, that's all cowardice. But they enjoyed punching this woman in the face. They enjoyed brutalizing her. They stole this car not to get groceries, not out of a necessity, but for the fun of it, for the thrill of it, in the hopes that maybe there was some additional property that they could profit off of. This is what they liked, and what they took from this woman was not only her vehicle, which she was lucky to get back, but they also took her sense of security. This vibrant 80-plus-year-old woman who is living her own life, who is independent, is now terrified to leave her place at night, terrified of that parking lot. They did that to her.
And because this happened at night, Delia says she doesn't go anywhere near the parking lot for fear of who could be lurking in the dark.
At this moment, I feel my age, but before this incident, I feel young. And I feel before that whatever my children can do, I can do. But now, I feel like I will be dependent to my kids.
It's just heartbreaking to hear that she felt young, she felt free, she felt like anything her kids could do, she could do. But at this moment in time, she felt old, she felt helpless. For the first time in her entire life, she felt like she couldn't go out into the world and feel safe and protected. That's what they robbed from her. That's what Jessica Burbank thinks is necessary in order for them to get groceries. It's disgusting. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And again, not going to get national attention. We're done talking about the Asian attacks or anything like that, because if we ever actually got to the root of them, if we ever actually talked about who was behind them, that would create more uncomfortable questions for the left-wing progressives that they're not interested in asking.
And the good news, her RAV4 was recovered almost in pristine condition, except the alarm system had been ripped out.
Yeah, so like I said, she ended up getting her car back. They ripped out the alarm of her car. We understand why they did that. But it's just a sad story, a preventable story. When they actually arrest these people, if they ever do, we're going to find out that they had a long history of this. In fact, we have surveillance video of them in another car, another stolen car, pulling up to the scene, so we know that this is a pattern of behavior, but it would be nice if we held these people accountable. But look, the fact of the matter is, right now, they're going in a completely different direction in Seattle. Again, we just did a video on the fact that they want to make it so that these people can go to counseling, these people can do community service, and automatically have the charges dismissed without any input from the prosecutor. That's what's being pushed in the legislature right now. That's what's being pushed in the fraudulently named Judiciary Committee. And remember, when they're proposing laws like that, when they have advocates talking about the cycle that the criminal's trapped in and how much they're a victim, the person that they're ignoring is the victim, this 85-year-old woman. What they're ignoring is the impact to the victim, the fact that she now feels old, she now feels terrified, she now feels vulnerable. They don't care about that. They want to set that aside in order to give a break to the attackers who needlessly punch this woman in the face, despite the fact that they already had a gun to her stomach while they were forcing her to fork over the keys. That's what they're about. Never forget, these people that call themselves progressives, when they get power, this is what they do. This is what they advocate for. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like this video, then show them by leaving a like. Subscribe for more content. Follow me on my social medias. Support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about a very sad story out of Seattle. Till next time.